Hello friends, it's Lionheart here and I am back with more of the Gwent Masters casting that my lovely wife and I, GhostArya, did this weekend for the World Masters group stages. This time around, it is Joe taking on the legend that is Magpie. It's a wonderful series of Gwent and a winner's series at that, so the winner of this series is going to the show. Of course, all of the results are out now. You know the 8 players that are going to be there. Who is your favorite? Who do you think it's going to be? And if it's different, whose lineup do you like the most? Let me know in the comments down below. I am going to send you straight over now to our cast with all of our preparation and discussing the decks as well. Let's go.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. We are saying hi to you from a very snowy Prague, and we are here for the second day of group stage of Masters. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning. Hello.
Hi.
It's an early start for Gwent. Now, you don't normally get Gwent at quite this hour, especially Gwent eSports. It is 10 a.m., well, just after CET, and yet here we are with a winner's match. We are going to be we're going to be watching. It's going to be Joe taking on the legendary Magpie in a winner's bracket series. Whoever ends up taking this win is going to World Masters proper. That is pretty impressive, to be completely honest.
Yeah, agree.
We'll go through and just give you a quick recap on how everything went yesterday to start us off. So let's go into...
Yep.
And you can see that in Group A yesterday, Mayamon versus Catburger was game 1, and Mayamon took that 3-0. Match 2, Jamie One Hands faced Trusky, and Trusky came off the winner. So you can see today that the winner's match for them, Mayamon v Trusky, the loser's match is Catburger v Jamie One Hand, and whoever wins the winner's match progresses. Whoever loses the loser's match goes home. The remaining players will face off in that tiebreaker. So, then Group B. This was us yesterday. We cast all of this as we watched Puzzle Express lose 3-1 to Innomine Satanas. It was a really, really interesting series, to be honest. It went quite well.
Indeed. And then we also have seen the other match, which was Bukowski vs. Sanvanta, went 3-2 even.
It was a
We're
great
the only
series.
one who didn't have 3 zeros.
Yeah, no 3-0s here yesterday, and I'm hoping for none today, but you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. So that winner's match is coming up live here after this series, Innomine Satanas versus Sanvanta, so we will be returning to a couple of players who both won yesterday. And then the lower bracket will be Puzzle Express versus Bukowski, Bukowski rather. And again, tiebreak will be between the two of them.
Yeah. Then last but not least,
Group C, which is where we are starting our day off.
It started with Joe versus Gravesh. That was one of the 3 zeros. Joe's taking that home. And then Karim versus Magpie. The Magpie won 3-0. And now we're going to see Magpie and Joe?
Magpie and Joe, that is our first series of the day. It is the Group C winners match to work out who is advancing straight through to World Masters, the final weekend next weekend.
Yep.
Which should be pretty incredible, if you ask me.
Indeed.
So I'll take us back now. You'll see us. Hello again, friends.
Hello.
Here we go. Let's go in and take a look at the players' decks. And I think we're starting with Joe.
Let's see. This is how they want to be called, by the way?
Yes. It's
we didn't make this up.
It's not the direct translation. However, we're told from them directly that they would like to be referred to as Joe. Therefore, Joe it is.
Indeed. And Joe, nor Magpie are bringing Squirtle. Is that correct?
That is right.
Yep. So Joe.
Well, they are. They've both got them. They're both banned.
Well, we don't get to see it.
Yeah. They're both banned here. So we won't look over those Squirtle decks.
And I'm just looking, and Joe is going on blue coin as well.
Okay, so we're looking at Joe. He is on blue coin here, and his first deck list is an old but good. It's Imposter Ball. Now, I really liked the changes to this that came in after Ardfian became a thing. The buff to Joachim appears to have made it back in the list as well for that pairing with Ku
Yeah.
to thin through even more. Of course, Emir existing now technically means you can single cycle Masquerade Ball these days. So even though it's a little power crept and took quite a few hits, this list can still be absolutely terrifying if it ends up taking control. Notable absentee. I can't see. Oh no, never mind. There he is. It was just the microphone in the way. Philippe, one of the most powerful
Philippe's
cards.
there.
I was thinking, why on earth? Rosa and Edna, a card perhaps you haven't experienced yet. You will get to see in action as well, as it hasn't made too much of an impact in this form. I think it might be a useful card for Joe today.
It will be interesting to see how that works. So we're skipping over the Squirtle
Sadly.
and going straight into Overwhelming Hunger, Dagon.
Yes.
He was promised, delivered, heat waved.
Yeah, promise delivered. He's technically still here. We did have some monsters yesterday, a really interesting Araka Swarm list, but this is Deathwish Dagon as you are used to. Urn of Shadows, telling you that you want to be a blue coin list so that you can double Brewer's Ritual. Erendite, questioning that because normally Erendite lists are played on red coin. But with the amount of tempo this list has, it doesn't hurt. So, it runs exactly as you would expect. It's all about that extra thinning. Dagon, played in round 1, is an absolute ton of points. You may have seen the kind of infinite Dagon second evolved version. That usually only exists in weird ladder matches where your opponent has absolutely no removal, and there may be matchups like that where that's what Joe decides to do. I expect him to play it for pure value here. The Arrakis Queen, often for the Dettlaff, could be for a Succubus as well. It is all about that Death Wish power for this list.
Indeed. And then something that we have experienced yesterday already
Oh,
is
yes.
the Pincer Maneuver Temple Shoop.
Yeah, there's not much to say about that one.
Yeah,
It's the mid-range
it
version
happened.
again.
It happened multiple times.
Yeah.
We are yet to experience it again.
Yeah.
Oh, joy.
Indeed. We saw this deck yesterday. It got, even though it was facing Nilfgaard, it had Temple milled, turn 1 by Traherne. It had Mutagenerator heat waved, turn 2. And then the opponent was playing Angloem and played their own Temple. This list still won by 5.
Yep.
So even with all of the provision nerfs, the consistency in this list and just the sheer points and power of round control really do make it an extreme powerhouse of a list. Interesting, kind of very long round engine heavy with the deck, with the lineup. The Guerrilla Tactics being the more smorky control. Obviously, Imposter Nilfgaard does have plenty of control, but it's a little bit slower than other lists. So what about the legend that is Magpie?
Let's go have a look. Oh, Magpie being his favourite card.
The
Really
Magpie, yes, he is now immortalized in the game, as it should be.
good. As it should be. We have no background music, by the way.
Okay, we should have had. I don't know why that's not cycling. I'll fix it.
Yep, thank you.
Da-da-da-da. There we go. So, a 4 here now. There we go. You've got some
Yep.
background music again.
So we are not going to be seeing the elves.
No, I'm really sad about that.
I'm really sad because these are the only elves that were brought,
Yeah.
apart from the other Squirtle, but these are proper elves
This is-
with
yeah.
the new traps and everything, but not fully traps. I was curious to see it,
Yeah,
but
enough traps to make Bree a guarantee,
Yeah.
but no more than that. I really love the Deadeye Ambush list, and I think elves have historically always been a brilliant counter meta, in my opinion. To super control, they always do really well. So, but alas, that has been banned, so we will not see it
Yeah.
here.
And now what we're gonna see is Devotion White Frost, if I'm looking right. It
yeah.
is indeed.
It is indeed.
With a sprinkle of Lord Riptide, but otherwise pretty much what you would expect from White Frost.
Yeah.
The usual, not victims. The usual, what are they called?
I have no idea.
Criminals.
Criminals?
Like the usual suspects.
Usual suspects, right? Okay.
Suspects. We got
Okay.
there.
Suspects aren't criminals. That's very presumptuous, but I know where we got to. Yeah, it is. It is the Frost deck that you've come to know. Again, one of the most underrated decks, in my opinion, in Gwent history. Devotion White Frost. The addition of Lord Riptide, it makes sense because it's just that little bit of removal, that instant engine nope. That can do really, really well. It is all about getting that frost value. 2 Ancient Foglets in there as well. The threat, because you can transition unused frost in multiple ways, whether that's with Winter Queen or with Tyrnalia, really does make this, in my opinion, the strongest of the weather archetypes, which, honestly, I never thought we'd see back in Gwent, so it's actually really cool.
It is.
It is.
Then we're seeing something a little different, yet so similar.
Yeah.
It's a Pentamanual Traveling Priestess with a little bit of a non-roche, mutagenerator, the usual. But this time it's not Ireland, not Shoop.
No.
Not the things that we've seen before, but it is still Onaya.
It's Siege.
It's Siege, yeah.
It's an interesting variation on this list because it still thins well enough to be Travelling Priestess, but is using that sort of that bullying removal, that round 2 defense that is Siege. And I've not seen a list exactly like this before. Double Radovids, Radovid Judgment making an appearance, which makes sense with the combination of the other Radovid card. It'll be a decent amount and extra removal too. I'm very curious to see this list in action. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's gonna be interesting. Even a Thala in there. Thala has made an appearance, and I did not have that on my World Masters bingo
You know
card.
what? All the Witcher 1 fans are now really excited.
As they should be. We're all excited as Witcher 1 fans.
And last but not least, this one I'm really excited for. I forgot it's here, honestly. But it is, the Czech in me is happy because they were finally bringing beer into Gwent.
That's true. Yeah. Well, it makes sense. There's always been plenty in the Dwarven kingdoms, and let's be honest, everywhere in the Witcher universe.
So, Ale of Ancestors, if you guys slept through the last few months, which is okay, happens to me too, and didn't realize how much this card changed, it's now amazing. So the combo with the alchemy makes absolute sense. It works really well. We see the usual mushy truffle with the peaches. And we're not, and Geddy, yeah. My microphone was in the way of Geddy. I was like, no Geddy,
Yeah,
wow.
it is.
But Otkel as well, really nice, because then that means you can play your Freya Blessings in round 1, round 2, and then get them back later on. Really good. And Portal is an interesting addition there.
But Portal makes a lot of sense because you want Portal in the early round to put those good cards into your graveyard so you have Freya's Blessings targets. I was actually put onto a very similar version of this list nearly a month ago by Energix, who absolutely told me that this was the way to go with Battle Trance, and it seems Magpie is in complete agreement here. It does all revolve around the Ale of the Ancestors rather than Geddy these days.
Yep.
All about the Mahakam Ale, the Golden Froth, and the Ale of the Ancestors. A really amazing deck, and I'm really excited to see it in action.
Yeah.
It's all about how you draw, because you need Freya's targets. You also need to draw the Freyas to make good value from Otkel, but the list thins very well. Even a Darren in there to throw your Crow Mother into the graveyard for later, which is really nice. Those are our decks, and as we said, the Scoia'tael is banned for both players. So no Scoia'tael for either of them, I know. They are going to be on their coins.
Yeah, and we can put in the bands as well.
Yeah, I'll put in the bands too.
Yeah, let's go. There's no score command, chat, because we truly believe that you can count to 4.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give you the trust that you can count to 4 here.
I know it's Sunday morning. You can have your brunch, you can have your coffee, but make sure that when you're asking for score, it will be on the screen most of the time.
So
Scoia'tael and Scoia'tael are
unfortunately,
banned.
Scoia'tael has been banned for both players. So this is what we're looking at. The reason we've moved them over there for now, of course, is that there is the visual bug in game 1. So no leader abilities and no player names. So we've just moved them for their respective sides to help you out.
Indeed.
Fingers crossed, it should be experience.
Oh.
So going in, this is the first person who will be able to book their place from the tournament is the one that wins this series.
Paya and Kaliki.
Yeah, this weekend, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'm really looking forward to this series.
Yeah.
2 different game strategies. The diversity of not just decks, but lineup strategies has been amazing so far. And again, 2 players, completely different to everything we saw yesterday in terms of structure. So Let's go.
Let's go. And just a reminder, Joe wants to be called Joe. That is not
That's
the
not the
translation from Chinese, yeah.
The actual translation, I think, is the infamous Situ Kong, but he wants to be called Joe.
I think he's just trying to be nice to us.
I'm sure he is trying to help us out, yes. But reliably, we are told Joe it is.
By Joe.
Yes.
Joe says he wants to be Joe, and that's what we respect.
That's what Joe says, so that's where we're going. Now, this loading screen is a little longer because of the visual bug, but fortunately we are still in, and game 1 is here. The mulligans are taking place, and it is completely different. It's Nilfgaard on blue here, taking on NR on red coin. So,
okay.
That makes sense. Joe down here, playing for the
Joe
first...
has no leader. Oh, there he is. I was like, not even a leader character, you know?
Oh yes,
Yennefer just had a late entry.
Yeah, she comes in right at the very end, but the I think that's the crystal.
That's the meteor powder.
Yes, maybe that's So that is there, and obviously the typical response mutagenerator turn 1 is in there because this isn't a temple list, of course. It is the siege version, so it doesn't start off with that. As we see, a really interesting pairing. This ability to give statuses and protected, the Rivian pikemen, they are a flanking unit, but they're not actually used in flanking typically. They find a home because of the bleeding that they give so much happier here. Now, Magpie will want round control against this. The ability to bleed ball has always been crucial because there are some key engines that you absolutely need to get rid of. It's not just the removal, but especially it is that Philippe van Morlehem. He is just nightmarish, I've also realised. There we go. Let's get some sound on this. Ooh, a front row Istrid and a click here.
Okay.
That is an interesting choice. Takes the click.
We have the siege now. Because there was a break, the Redanian informant was in hand, so that was a good reshuffle getting that out, because you obviously expect Nilfgaard to start spamming statuses pretty quickly.
Yeah, you do, very much so. And this list is a curious hybrid. I'm very interested to see, is that going to be used? Because right now the mutagenerator is actually being used for buff.
Yeah.
Because every card on the board right then was a 6 power. You're not interested in buffing those in deck typically. But no carryover is being generated because the 3 cards in hand, none of them are actually cards you want to commit here. They're your final say. Wouldn't be surprised to see an Amphibious Assault pull out a 4 provision card for that 5 points of carryover, but we will soon find out.
And so Magpie is Pincer Maneuver, and Joe is Imposter. Okay,
That's
so
right.
just keep an eye on that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is what we're seeing as we get the lock on the lock. Lock. Yeah, floating that lock instead of using it on one of the engines. But we do see an Onia given here and all of that buff. We get the Purify and then the lock transitions through. Obviously, choosing to play Margarita on the front row resulted in an extra buff, keeping that lock alive just long enough. Yeah.
Okay, so we're seeing, engines on engines from Joe. Makes sense.
Yeah. And lots of value in them as well. The amount of power now that Thirsty Dames have is a little bit scary. You can do so much with them. As we see the Radovid come down, we're doing our best to keep a track of leader charges.
None have been used yet.
Yeah, nothing's been used so far. And that's a massive thing to grab. When you see the Ardfian pull that in round 1, it kind of limits you to having to push for that round 2 because of the value of it for the extra statuses.
Definitely.
But the Philippe is a massive choice here.
None of the priestesses are boosted yet.
No, and we've used a single leader charge right now as well to grab here.
So with Radovid locked, we are at 3 or 2 right now?
Radovid was locked, so there's only 2.
Yeah.
If he was locked before it was clicked, which I think he was. As we can see now, this is a 5 provision option, which will buff some of those cards.
Okay, and the other Radovid
draws into the wrong Radovid and this, but of course you just shuffle both of them away. Istrid unlocked on board, if I'm not mistaken, means he is also buffing those cards as they shuffle back. A good amount of carryover here.
Also shuffle happening right now.
It's all about the shuffle.
Are we going to see... So, Joe is ahead.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that Magpie doesn't have reach, but Joe is just
I mean, the Van Moorlehem servants in this list are crazy because they copy all statuses except infusions and move them across. The amount of points that was just worth is madness.
We're seeing the first amphibious assault.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go for some points here too because you're not, going for the shuffle. Doesn't need to win this round, but would obviously prefer to. Just trying to maximize their value as it stands, honestly. Difficult.
Not great shuffle.
I would probably keep, based on the fact that he's passing here, yeah, I like that. He's not playing the next...
Because then you have a guaranteed mulligan next turn. Yeah.
Well, no, you want it in hand anyway, right? Because you want it to thin. You don't have to worry about not finding it. And the siege will defend the bleed should it happen, is the logic. It's got to be a pass here. I would be absolutely stunned to see anything but a pass in this spot right now from Magpie. Has set up what they want. Getting the Philippe is pretty huge. Honestly, in this situation, while you're losing the round, Philippe is one of those cards that you need to see go away.
And being Magpie, you stand a chance defending that bleed.
He's playing.
But yeah.
Okay, wasn't expecting that. Is he gonna drop
That's
siege
leader,
here?
So that's one leader left
I think.
for Magpie.
Oh, this is not what I thought I would see here.
Okay, so we're drawing another card. That's... Are we?
I think he has a leader charge left, but he needs
I
to
think
have
we
one.
One more. Yeah.
I would now, if I'm Joe in this spot, I'm gone. You don't want to lose the round, but with the number of points needed here,
are we?
he's on 33 effectively as it stands, with no. Oh, that's a push. Yeah, and I'd have passed too because I'm not necessarily convinced the reach is there, but he thinks it is. Obviously, a number of order abilities doing work here because has managed to thin as well. Does he have the leader charge?
Leader charge?
I don't know if he's got another one. I think he's used them all.
I think there's one more, but that's really
there is one more.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really difficult to say with
and
the bug.
The Radovid will also thin through now. So the Radovid's going to jump out. Is he going to have to mulligan siege away?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's...
Siege goes, mulligan, Radovid's out, Karen Barista goes, and therefore this guy, Siege Master, is out as well.
Wow. I mean,
Magpie managed to catch. This is a lot, but... Whew.
Wow. So... Now, he's in a spot where he probably doesn't typically want to bleed into this with such a short round, but because he'll give up final say if he does, but at the same time, the long round is problematic against this. Playing into the Ardfian, not something you typically want to do, but it's a great looking hand for him, honestly, other than... Okay, away with Amphibious Assault tells me he's playing every card in his hand.
Yeah, it tells me he's fishing for a siege.
Yeah, well, he hasn't found the siege.
But there's a Witcher in hand that could do it, but obviously leader's gone, nothing can be done about that
And he's playing on as well, boosted units, trying to find, if he finds the siege, he's golden.
Okay.
Instead,
this is not bad with
double
the
shuffle,
So I will have him keeping them.
You always want, he's never trying to 2-0 here, he's trying to get value bleed.
Okay.
The miss of the ball on the other side, we can see, obviously, that Joe doesn't have it. Magpie does not know that, and he has to assume the worst, right?
Yeah. Wow, okay.
This is going to be... Oh, now that is a pick right there. That could be a lot worse than your central choice, but of course, no soldiers. So for this list...
Oh, really great.
Yeah. And okay, so giving your opponent
a boost,
but one that you can potentially just grab for yourself.
Yes.
A little later, and on the pass, very, very happily here, Magpie says, okay, thank you.
And then obviously the location will be gone for round 3, but that is not ideal for Joe.
It's not, but this is actually really nice. Using that shuffle. Again, saying, I need to find I need to find ball here. I need to do as much as I can to find that. Uses the shuffle instead of just first coup, which was sufficient. Instead, it's unfortunate though to get the buff there. That buff is unfortunate.
That's the one buff you didn't want, but it's for this.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
They're now on the same amount of cards, 3 cards. So that's coup hasn't been used yet.
Yeah.
Usually, I really feel like coup is not like for what it is. I rarely see it pay off twice.
Yeah, and it can. In some lists, it can work really well for that. And this one has so much spying that it often will.
Yeah.
Because you've got engines that consistently give spying every turn in a way that other decks don't. So it's the closest to the spying archetype. But the hands look pretty much near as damn it perfect here.
Is Roderick bricked, or do we have any other gold card in the deck?
I don't know. I believe you're having to use him first just in case. I'm pretty sure of that, but I think there's another gold.
And now we see the battle of scenarios. There we go. It feels like old Gwent now,
we have gone back in time here as we see Siege and the Masquerade Ball facing off against each other. On Magpie's side, he doesn't have his Amphibious Assault, but he can still potentially grab that. Thala will shuffle away the Traveling Priestess, for instance.
Nice.
That was brave. So either it is bricked, either the other one is bricked or he's got multiple golds left. We don't have access to the graveyard or the deck right now, but we will see an attempt to get through this and board wipe if possible. You want to get rid of that Dame here. It's a huge, huge removal.
But instead we're seeing Emir come down, makes sense.
And a lock as well.
Ooh, I'm really worried about that.
He must not be.
Yeah.
But it is very brave here. That could be a brick. Obviously, as you can see, Ball is now single cycled, as was something that I said was a possibility. A huge amount of tempo, and while he is 24 behind, it is by no means done here. He just drops the Traveling Priestess. That surprises me.
But they have Veil, so I guess you're not worried about them as against Nilfgaard Ball that much.
No, you're not, and this list doesn't run the other Van Wallerhem, if I'm not mistaken, because you would never leave it on the board if it did.
No, you wouldn't, with Vincent.
No, that would be chaos, as we now see another spying engine set up here.
More points for Joe makes sense.
And you would probably leave those right now.
Yeah, why not?
Because you know Siege is about to proc, they're safe over there, and it's just a cheeky little 12-point swing.
Yeah.
Opponent doesn't run tall punish or like removal in the way that you would need to get rid of that usurper. So as it stands, just a reasonably happy situation. I think Thala will probably drop down now.
I would imagine so, yeah. I'm still, so I think next we have to play the...
Oh, wow, just going straight into Roach, and he's managed to miss AA here.
Okay.
As it stands.
Bombardment.
Bomb.
Triggers. Clearly.
It does indeed, as the bombardment hits, but nothing is removed, obviously, because there is far too much. One of my least favourite interactions, Thirsty Dame, boosts when it's not your turn, so Vitality is a nightmare here. Not ideal, as we do see that leader ability finally has been played, and it's an engine you definitely want to lock.
Are we seeing the spy now? Because that...
Yeah, here they come.
Replaying Joachim, makes sense.
Oh, and of course, okay.
Last ever gold card. So that wouldn't have been that, I wouldn't have been that sure.
But there were two available, so he was pretty sure he was safe. Huge number of points ahead here right now, over 50. And
everything has spying.
Everything,
so Coop gives you
double Joachim effectively, right? That's what you're going for. As we see, he drops it, he clicks it, and gives himself that AA for the final card as well. Expect Onia to come down first, because that last one, of course, is the remaining Traveling Priestess. Oh boy, this is going to be...
Is that... I'm thinking Onia could still be removed if Joachim brings the second poison.
I don't know if there is another poison available, but it's a possibility. No, so... If it were me, I would play the Traveling Priestess instead first on the other side to prevent that, because they can't remove that.
Yeah.
On this side, he takes the steal,
Makes sense.
which is very nice. Yeah. He's looking for a little bit of shuffle himself, but it's not shuffle, it's brick, and that is a genius read. Because now that AA is worth 0, and that is game 1 to Joe.
Very nice.
Great job, which means that Joe has won with...
Imposter Ball, there we go.
There we go. Lovely read, that Thala,
nice
super awkward.
What's left in the deck.
Very nicely done. It's... The combo there, it's really, really difficult, because winning round 1 was really important. to be able to control that round. Last say, you always think, oh, the Priestess deck will be fine, but you cannot overlook the versatility that Nilfgaard list has, the number of points it can play for, and its awkwardness of its control, you know, can really, really be a lot.
Yeah, and that's what I like about Tournament Gwent. Open deck format, you know what's the last card your opponent has.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're like,
yeah,
well, I know what you eat, and I know it's the Priestess. Well, enjoy your AA.
Yeah, enjoy that. But that's a really, really smart read in that situation, you know?
Matching sweaters, actually.
We are matching. We both have our festive feel, you know? You've got to make sure you go out right. That's how it's done.
It's the first Advent Sunday.
It is indeed. And I've moved the players back, as I believe now we have no visual bugs into game 2. The coins do flip, so that is Joe now going on to red coin and Magpie flipping to blue. What are we going to see from these players? Well, I would be playing Geddy on blue if I was Magpie. Joe probably bringing his NR. But no need to guess.
There we are.
Because that's exactly what happens.
Correct.
I would be making the exact same thing in this spot. Kind of feels like it fits. 1-0 Joe. Here we go.
And we're... I don't know. I wanted to say something, but I completely forgot what it was. Never mind.
It'll come back.
It will come back.
It'll come back. Okay, so we are currently looking at...
Okay, good.
Yeah.
What are we looking at? No. Otkel in hand can be a little awkward.
Yeah.
Especially with no Freya Blessing.
Yeah, no Freyas, no Portal to Thin.
No Temple for Joe.
Yeah. You can see in the deck there the cards that have been missed on the one side. Obviously, nothing's really missed for Northern Realms with this list. The opening Darren pretty much exclusively ends up being for Crow Mother because she's just really great carryover in that sense. And finds the portal. That is lovely play. But remember, whatever goes here gets shuffled in as well, rather than to the bottom, as it would have done with Cursed Scroll. Shocking opening play here for NR as we see the Muta Generator. No Heat Wave.
Did you know that they play Muta Generator first?
I know. It's brand new. First time we've seen this line. We'll see if it works out. But no answer for Magpie here, and that will be a very, very happy revelation for Joe. As we now see that back row slam. Remember, Muta Generator, it's every time a card hits the back row or onto it's played, and that's a good selection too.
Yeah. I think I would be looking for Nature Rebuke, but I might have probably gone for Nilfgaard for a lock. I wanted to get rid of that preacher, but
Yeah. It's
nice
so many points.
Yeah. So
really
many
nice
points indeed. We're now playing an alchemy card. Starting with these, because remember, you can replay them with the droid. Bronze alchemy cards can be replayed later on, so that's fine.
Yeah, that's very true, and you want them in the graveyard to maximize that value. No real surprise here without it in hand that Temple ends up coming down now, after. Not going for the greed and some interesting choices. Oh, the carryover's tempting. Ildiko isn't necessary really here. We will find out what they have at the end. So we've seen the first choice options. The second, oh my, okay.
Nice,
Defender's great, as is Dandelion. And again,
wow. Okay, we'll see what they chose in a little bit.
That is...
They also have some choices, huh?
They are. Ooh, there's not enough cursed to make Ada worth it here, but there is some. So I could see the temptation, depending on what else has been picked. We will find out very shortly what was chosen here.
Maybe.
But right
Maybe
now,
we'll find out.
Maybe we
Eventually.
will. I'm sure we will. And
right
Magpie
now,
gone.
Magpie says, well, you know what? I did what I wanted to do. These are my, targets to bring from graveyard, which is good. So it was Ada.
The Ada's been taken.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure what else here, because the other cards, of course, are ones we know.
Drog.
Oh, wow. Is that... Yeah, wow.
I can see it.
And it looks like it was Henseltus the third.
Yeah. Spying the top of her card.
This should just be the clicked Temple to bring Anses into hand for that threat, that reach. But as a this is interesting, because the Muta Generator player typically will get as much carryover as possible and go down to 4 cards here. Because they can take the long round 3, have last say with a pretty much untouchable Erland. Instead, he takes the Ada boosted into hand. which is
But like we
unusual.
said yesterday, if you're facing mutant generator and you don't have a way to remove it, you're better off leaving quickly to not give them Duck Aerial, right?
Yeah.
So that's what Magpie did here.
Yeah, but then I would just keep playing, personally.
If you
I
were
would take
Joe.
all. If I was Joe, I would go, okay. The thing that Magpie will be looking at is he feels confident that his long round against this controlless list has so many more points
Oh yeah.
that actually he thinks his long round is so much better that he can afford to do this effectively, is what he's saying.
Yeah, because the Ale Alchemy can be points.
Yeah.
Yeah, Henselt and Rogue in the end.
That's what we have, and we can see the deciding is taking place as Iris and her companions drop down. It's not sufficient on its own, though. So Iris will go into the graveyard.
Makes sense. Beautiful card.
And it's
still.
there you go, and we just about get through there. Very nice. Calculated well, and obviously we're going to the long round 3 now. It does make it a little bit more awkward for the Geddy player as well.
Yeah, 'cause
yeah.
You need to play all the blessings, you need to bring all the things back, blah blah. It's a lot you need to do very quickly. But if I was Magpie here, I would almost want to play out some of my things to get back to 7 cards. To
He's
kind
at
of
7 now,
thin,
though.
right?
He's already at 7.
The 10.
Oh, Magpie. Yeah.
Magpie.
Magpie definitely will. Sorry, my
Yeah.
bad. Yeah, Magpie very likely to want to do exactly that. Yeah, set up the carryover for turns that he doesn't need as
Yeah.
it stands, and put more 4Ps in the graveyard. Makes a lot of sense here. Only 7 cards left, so you would expect he finds what he's looking for.
Yeah.
Still, currently no Freyas played, so none in
It's
graveyard.
not ideal, but you could. The issue is, what is Northern's really removing for you? But
yeah.
There is hopefully enough bronzes in the graveyard right now already.
Yeah, there are plenty in the graveyard already, I would say, to double grab. They've made sure of that. No, there is one graveyard hate, as you can see. The squirrel sat there buffed and does find the Ansace as well.
Why? Because we don't have Ale.
So, Ale, not currently, no. Hasn't been found yet. No sign of that Ale yet.
That's not great.
That is very awkward as it stands, with 1 mulligan remaining, trying to work out what the best option is, because in the long round without it, that is bad news. That is very bad news here.
Is it got? Oh, it's the only removal. going.
Finds it from the Avalak, and it's
Nice.
the first card, which makes sense.
We get some Ale from Mushi, and I think that then you're able to replay it from graveyard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whew, that was that. I didn't like that. Oh, but there are 2 artifacts. So if Shoop is destroying
Shoop.
artifact, it's 50-50.
Yeah,
right?
and no, it's not. He's destroying an enemy artifact.
so
He gets
you
to pick,
pick.
and there goes the Ale. Now, that for the long round is a lot more problematic.
Yeah.
But Geddy in a long round can be devastating. However, is Geddy going to be the card that's heat waved here rather than the engine? Probably, because Ansace can deal with one of the engines, for instance, in a little while. The backwards and forwards on what is the most valuable removal, right? Yeah, there's a decent chunk of artifact removal options in this list. Shoop out here hunting
We're
and
only
doing
missing
work.
verification.
Pretty much, yeah. No verification, but that's about all that's not. Interesting, the Maxi is probably a shuffle target, honestly.
Yeah, probably.
As here comes Adder. Now, this is not something you see a huge amount of. Obviously, it was created here. So, at the moment, Joe just taking his chances. Magpie a little up against it, but now that Geddy has survived, as his engine's down.
Much nicer now.
Yeah.
I really want to see what's the graveyard, because I would love to see like what are we bringing, but we just have to wait and see.
We will, as Ansa is dealing with one of those engines rapidly.
Lovely Freya Blessing target, if you ask me though.
And I'm expecting to see those start to drop down. But this is the graveyard.
Amazing. So we have 3 more breaches.
Yeah.
2 land druids, so it's really good. That's really good for Magpie there.
Yeah, so far so good in that sense. But a lot of cursed on the other side, because here comes Draug.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and that's a huge amount of points. Remember, Draug, of course, is an order to choose now instead, so we'll be able to set up a big last say if they want to do it a certain way.
Yep.
As we now, however, get Geddy just starting to pop off.
Yeah, I would have pressed Mushi here probably, just to protect
Maybe.
that preacher.
I probably would do the same. I think the Avalak location's a little bit awkward because he's always your target, because he's got the one solitary buff. A little surprised we haven't seen other options played there. I do think we'll see both of the Dwimviandras played in between, squirreling away the final one probably.
Yeah, probably. Or maybe one of the... Could be, whatever druid it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last leader absolutely surely has to be used on the Erland here. Actually, maybe not so early because there's still Radovid.
There's still time. Maxi will probably go.
I would say so, yeah. You've got two very easy shuffle targets in this instance. It's just building this up as now Opcult smashes himself down. And
It's always so dramatic.
it's actually the Freya's Blessing that was just squirreled to reduce the value of this Opcult again. But now 4 of those on board can be
That's
huge.
a lot of points, especially with Dwins.
Yeah.
But remember, Dwin with order, with location, only renews the order, so you still can't play Dwin last.
That's right. That was a nerf that most people didn't really notice, but it was a substantial nerf when you consider, because Dwin used to zeal those orders, and it wasn't intended that that was the case, but that is exactly what she did. Not anymore. Oh, we have clicked early, because there was still a Radovid charge there a turn from now. So I'm a little surprised at that click from Joe, because he had another 2 points on leader, if he wanted it, and could have clicked a turn from now.
Yeah. Well, now it's time to boost.
Yeah, it's gonna, and that's, you're gonna have to start spreading your boosts here as Magpie, probably protecting those crows.
Even though if you're losing points on Avalak, I think it's worth it.
I agree. Obviously, you get rid of one, you can then boost, I think will be the way here to try and protect.
But you're also eating some of them up, which is good.
Yeah, again, removes another, and here comes another.
And choose not to just use the Avalak at all, instead protecting
I would
the
leader
tiny
here
ones.
as well to protect Opcult even further, realistically. Whether they do or not, we will see.
And then we're probably gonna see Dwim,
Dwim, and then a final jam, yeah. But I would say it's hard to tell how many points that is, because the Dwims are each playing potentially for 20.
Yeah.
And leaves the Opcult out to the punishment of that. So no more for him, but now only a solitary point available.
So either way, Opcult being gone just means, okay, destroy that, but you can't touch anything else I have, really.
No, and Hensel dropping down as well, now grabbing himself a nice little siege engine in between. We know that this row isn't going to fill as much as you would like, so while it's okay to play there, slower turn now for Magpie, of course, as you mentioned.
Yes.
Because these Dwims just have to do work, but on the other side, Joe in a strong spot. He's got all of his carryover ready. And a heat wave for the tallest one. That's a lot.
You want to be spreading these boosts now.
I think he's probably going to greed them. The Dwimviandras perfectly placed, just as I was hoping to see. Going to try and maximize that, but there's a big heat wave and a big amount of points coming down here too.
That will be very close, I think, in the end.
I think Joe wins this by 20.
Oh, really? Okay, let's see.
I think Joe wins this. There's a lot of points in this, don't get me wrong. I forget quite how much value that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Because we're seeing more and more alchemy, so now...
Needs 50. I think he's got 50.
Has 28 instantly. Oh.
It is closer than I thought by 6. Wow.
I wasn't sure it was going to be 20, but it was very close in the end. Wow.
It was, as we now... So that
Joe
is...
won.
Yeah, Joe winning that, so his NR is also through.
Joe, so far, being super quick.
Joe 2-0 up right now.
Yep.
Joe doing amazingly, but remember, that was a 60-ish point swing.
Yeah.
Now we're in reverse sweep territory. So now, Magpie, theoretically, has the control. I know that sounds crazy, but Joe just has one deck left. He has to play it on every coin. Magpie now is sat thinking to themselves, you know what? I can choose my lists and their coins, know exactly what I'm facing, and I can bully that exact deck the way I want to do it. Going to be curious to see how this ends up landing. Amazing play that way around there. The not able to get that battle trance list through. Magpie now flipping back to red coin, effectively. I think this time round, White Frost might make an appearance as we get ready to go in for Game 3. Surely we will not have our first 3-0 of the weekend for us. Surely not. Well, if Joe has anything to do with it, he wants to get to Masters now and head to bed.
Yeah,
Joe is not interested in a tiebreaker here, as we can see.
It's gotta be the Dagon from Joe now.
Dagon from Joe.
Okay.
And Dagon coming through for Joe
it's
awkwardly.
awkward against Frost, right?
Yeah, well, so for Joe, yeah.
That makes sense.
And Joe's going to be very happy because he gets 2 shots at this on blue. For Joe, that's the dream. 2 shots at this list on blue coin, it's favoured coin. We see Geddy here coming through. He's going to try potentially to bully a little, or at least be able to keep up with the tempo that this can slam in turn 1. Rapidly fishing. Oh, that is a really terrible opening hand here, realistically.
Much better for Magpie.
Oh, that's better. It's a little better.
Yeah, like both of these decks are a little bit of a solitaire decks.
Yeah, they're interested in their own thing, really. Yeah, completely. As we do see, the thinning starts happening, and that makes a lot of sense. No chance to set up Dagon here, which can be a little scary, as undoubtedly we'll see Portal early on for that bit of thinning. Now, there is a possibility with the lack of removal that Geddy has, that the second stage of Dagon could legitimately do work in this round, in this matchup, which could be actually a really bad spot for Magpie again.
Is Dagon?
Dagon is infinite points potentially.
I mean,
he's an 8 power card.
Well, then we might see my favorite plan: Giga Scorpion and Offensive Leader.
Potentially, if you may well have to do that in order to deal with it. Yes, that could well be the case. Yeah. As you can see, Joe just trying to get ahead of this. Yeah.
Blitz Gwent, though.
On blue coin, that Erendite growing every turn. It's something you've constantly got to keep track of as the opponent, because that extra removal can be really awkward. The Geddy list, when it gets away from itself, scary. I do believe Magpie runs Heatwave, so he will have an answer to the Ale.
We're going for a 2-0 here.
Depends.
Yeah, Mushy Dropper being pretty important engine, oh yeah. Interesting. Okay. Nice thinning for Magpie so far.
Yeah.
Setting up all the breaches, but keeping Geddy, which is a good plan for round 2, round 3, makes sense.
Yeah, and for Magpie, one of the big things, honestly, is he knows how important round control here is.
Yeah.
It's not just about setting up, but it's about being in control of the round. One of the things that Deathwish does very well is tempo, but only for that first 3 cards, then it slows down. Joe, well aware of that, took the pass before he lost on even, and just about gets out. Now, that Dwimbiandra re-enabling does tell you,
nice. Yeah.
tells you exactly what you expect. This will be a push, and it will be a hard push, I think, here.
Because we have Geddy, are we gonna get Ale?
Yeah, Ale's already in hand, effectively, because Ermion can grab it.
Oh, yeah, true.
It's an alchemy card.
My God.
It's such a nice combo that it is an alchemy card. It's actually tutorable as a result now, which is a really nice touch. And both Freyas too.
Is nice.
But it's nice on the other side as well, because that is a nice looking Dagon in there, ready to go. Having not won a round, he can still use the first version if he chooses here, making it a different kind of threat. Or will he just start setting up other things?
See?
We will indeed.
Okay, so we're seeing,
it.
Yeah, makes sense. Just points. That's what monsters do really well.
Yeah.
But Magpie is in control here. How long do we stay and how much we here, right? That makes sense.
It does.
I would be setting up as much as I can too, because equally, Joe doesn't have that much removal apart from that Erendite.
Yeah. Apart from that Erendite, as you say. And he's
Cyclops.
trying to protect those engines to make sure Erendite doesn't get good value. But that Cyclops, very much the removal you're looking for. If you're Magpie,
Not
he
that
can
much
play.
of an issue, because you have the 3 breaches in the graveyard with 1 Conduit. Still fine. Otkel will bring a lot of them back.
Very much so, yeah. And I think the Otkel here could end up actually being a really powerful short round 3.
That's right, yeah.
Effectively.
So you could play all the way down here to Otkel and then say, well,
I'm now happy. This is where I want to be. Yeah. A lot of carryover opportunities for Joe as well. There's extra Toad, for instance, will be good for the next round. Has got all of the value out of that Detlef pre-Arrakis Queen as well, which is really nice. The Erendite currently on 6. As we now do see this Ale drop down, it, of course, also has resilience, so it will come and go. No heat wave here to deal with it, though, is going to be huge. Magpie going to be very happy to see that staying on the board this round. It might end up being the thing that's decisive in Magpie deciding to push for a 2-0 rather than anything else.
Taken down. Are we going to see...
Not for this version. It's not worth it.
Not for this version, okay.
He's just to consume at this stage, and he buffs Death Wish units by 1. If it was the second version, yes, he'd have to die now. But as it stands, I could be mistaken.
What? Some people just like
No.
Oh?
I was going to say that. And that's actually really great. Magpie has just removed the absolute best target for that Arrakis. Yeah, for the Queen.
Because it's now not coming back. It makes absolute sense to just get rid of it.
It does. Kind of effectively punishing the greed to get the Dagon down first and saying, you know what? I'm here for it. Give me that. I will take it all day.
We could see the druid now, just to play more alchemy.
Which is exactly what we see. Yeah. Really pushing here to get either the extra card or see if you're in a situation where actually the 2-0 is very much on the cards.
Yep. And then it will be a Magpie thinking, okay, do I push with Optical or do I keep it? Right?
Look at how many points that turn was. Set themselves up an extra succubus. Consume. So many points just transferred here. The first leader was on a Toad, if I'm not mistaken, to give you the extra consume. Really smart line there from Joe. Knows this list well, but that Erendite stopped ticking a while ago, and that is really nice for Magpie.
Okay, so we see just one more alchemy coming down. Easy point. So many points. Just like, sure, can you catch up? But this is insane as well because all the incubi keep coming back.
They do. Now this is a big moment.
Now, exactly.
This is a big moment here because obviously there are enough, and he does take the pass. It's the right choice. I understand why he's taken the pass here.
You don't really know how many points the monster player has because it could be so much.
Yeah.
And equally, Otkel brings you engines in no time. You still have your leader and you still have Ale.
Yeah. So many potentials here. This is going to be... it's kind of top deck and wreck, but the Erendite's 8+ points as well. Great draws on one side. The combo's not awful.
Okay.
If you're going to grab both, one to consume the other.
Nice.
Maybe end up as a result mulliganing that Cyclops, but you're hoping to have extra damage.
Oh, on the other hand, Magpie drew really well.
Oh boy.
Oh, this is no.
Okay, extra succubus, trying to grab as much as possible here. Joe missing out on the cards he was looking for, including mulliganing that Erendite away, thinking it wasn't going to be worth it. Now has no removal here for what is about to be double engine, I would expect, and a click.
There we go.
Yeah.
And the Crow Mother coming back as well, really nice. Gives you targets. And they can be instantly protected with Optical protected as well. You can click Ale as well if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely should click Ale to give a target here. Has decided not to, though.
Okay, well.
Which is interesting. I'm a little surprised to not see the Optical click.
Still gotta have 2 clicks.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose that's the logic he's going for. We're going to click the crows instead and stack all of those points on the central crow.
Makes sense. Are you still killing one of the crows, though?
You are, but this is... It doesn't matter. Game is done, and Magpie is back in this.
Reverse sweep, here we go.
They are not messing around here. They are zooming through, and Magpie is on the board.
Yeah. All of the points were like 3, it was very, very close. Magpie hand was amazing.
It was. Joe didn't draw well there.
No.
Constantly had the wrong things at the wrong time, effectively. But Magpie's awareness that, tempoing ahead quickly and getting in reach, bullying the monster player out of round 1, is where that decision is made, effectively. If you can see, it's such a big difference, really, for monsters. If they can get you to go away in round 1, they're a lot lot happier.
Indeed, yeah.
Okay, and they are definitely blitzing this.
We're back in game, Chad. Let's go.
They are ready to go. They are not messing around here.
Now, we're still going to see the same Dagon deck from Joe.
Joe has no choice, and now it's the worst coin for Joe as well.
Yeah.
It's the
Let's
worst
see
coin.
how that goes. We could see whichever deck from Magpie.
We could. I think NR here. His NR list probably. Yeah, I think so. I would expect.
I meant like.
Yeah, he has the choice of both.
He has a choice of both.
You can see on the screen on the top right the current score, the decks that are through, the decks that are banned, and the decks that are left, all in one handy little graphic.
The Frost versus Death Wish is just gonna be awful.
It can be, but this list, the Death Wish of this list, because of the consumes, the Frost will hit those now because they're tallest, so it's not as bad as we might think. I think I would play NR here, but Magpie tells me I'm wrong. Magpie going for the Frost in this spot instead.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Let's see.
Let's see indeed. Must value, or must think the NR has a worse matchup into this. Effectively wants to take it on red for that extra bit of bullying into its... okay. And no, the other way around actually. Must think Frost has the worst matchup, so take it on the coin that's bad for it.
Okay, so we could potentially see another mirror if no, this is it.
That is it.
Yeah.
And Judd doesn't click here because is well aware that it's not the line you're looking for.
Yeah.
There's no locks in this list if I'm not mistaken.
No.
So as a result, it does make some sense here because you can't double get the value on red coin. It's one of the reasons why the Monster Death Wish list obviously wants blue coin. It wants to use that stratagem to thin and then thin again. Not just for the tempo, for things like the Erendite, but also for the thinning, because those cards are really just there for that purpose. Get you through round one, give you the extra consistency. And it works very well. Works very well. As now that I'm assuming...
Oh, could be... Yeah.
Yeah, going okay.
Makes sense. We're just trying to make more.
Going with the double value from the Arrakis Queen instead here. Not choosing, of course, to lead that because again, there is no relevant control that would stop it being the case now.
You can't kill it because it's helping, so unlock it or hate wave it. So this is just floating the death. It would make sense.
It does, and now dominance returns once again. Makes a lot of sense as the Frost begins to tick.
Dominance, it will be a battle of dominance here for Magpie, because that can be very difficult to consume, because they against a consume deck, right? Because they tend to go tall.
They do, yeah, as you've just seen here. And now, once again, able to thin consistently, which is really, really nice here. The backup, of course, of having access to the Queen on red coin meant the double thin was possible. First leader out. Willing to give Winter Queen in this round as a result because she is about to turn up. Instead, just killing off those drones slowly because there was only one damage anyway. Now, Winter Queen is a scary proposition. I would be stunned if she doesn't end up dying here.
Yeah, with one of the Cyclops, makes sense.
Yeah, but you don't want to be doing anything but thinning as well, so it's an awkward one. Because it's only 3 damage, it's not quite enough. You'd have to kill a drone instead.
Yeah.
Which isn't what you're looking for. Might choose to do that and then just use a leader consume. It's the Nithral that's going to go.
Oh, wow, okay.
Okay, the Nithral is going to go. The leader ability drops down. Double Succubus Thin is probably the worst case scenario.
Too early.
Well, because both of them in the graveyard already means they're not jumping back, right? But you can still create another one. You can see their Dolduloch is available. So it's not fatal, as now Winter Queen will absolutely
die.
Yeah, there she goes. Really nice navigation of this matchup from Joe. Got to remember as well that Erendite is growing every turn. I think it's already at 5.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it's at 4, maybe 5 points already.
Okay, we're probably gonna see Riptide.
It's got to be Riptide here. There's no chance you want it to be anything else. Yeah, getting instead of putting a decent card in the graveyard that has Death Wish potential makes sense. As Magpie flips this right back again.
Ooh, okay. It feels like a tug of war, honestly. It's just like constantly switching who's ahead.
Pretty much. as we're going to see the consume now.
Consuming all the... That makes sense.
It does, and it was just in time. However, that one is doomed now, of course.
Yeah,
the
so
first
it's
one to
not
come
coming
back. It is not.
Okay, we want to keep Golden Child for later.
I think you have to use it now.
Yeah.
Not this turn. I think I'd just play the bronze, but actually, no dominance for the bronze does hurt.
Yeah, and the removal, there's nothing worth removing.
Not that you can target. The 17, of course, immune. That would very easily have been a removal target normally.
We'll see. I don't think Magpie wants to go here, definitely, right? But
doesn't want to, but he doesn't. He's decided he doesn't have a choice.
however,
Yeah, perfect pass in terms of the frost
Joe
counting.
needs to play.
Yeah, Joe might decide not to.
Oh god, I see it. 2-round game. That's it.
Yeah, the doom on that is really sad. But has decided to take the pass because the Erendite build-up is just constant.
Yeah.
That's now at 7, maybe 8 even, as it stands, and provided it's drawn, it is a huge nope to any engine, effectively, that appears in and down.
With the heat wave as well, yeah.
And there it is.
Erendite, we see the second frost, a little bit of thin.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Dagon as well, that's a good hand there.
That is a great looking hand, honestly.
Okay.
And you tend to want to play into the second round as an Erendite player, because the more turns there are, the more points you have, effectively. Not too bad at all.
When we see Dagon just...
Yeah, makes sense. He's already won the round, so this is basically okay, kill me.
Okay,
Which has to be frost into, I would say, removal.
Makes
Here,
sense,
yeah.
there we
Never
go.
allowing that to live. Ever,
Nope.
ever. Does get the Death Wish value, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Golden Child being less and less useful with every turn,
Yeah.
which is not ideal.
It's not. I would imagine another succubus is going to appear on the
Yeah.
board here.
And then we have the Toads.
Yeah, and she has got adrenaline herself
This
as well
time,
now.
yeah. How is Magpie getting out of this?
Magpie has the points to be able to survive here, I think. The two consumes obviously are trading for 9 each and carryover effectively if you're consuming the succubus each turn. So that's okay. You can see, I know a lot of you have just mentioned, obviously, when the card that was just played, Succubus should have had adrenaline, came back out as doomed. It's the way Gwent resolves that cycle, as it was all the deployability, so it hasn't checked the hand prior, so it's a Gwent ordering thing that's resulted in that. If I'm not mistaken. But this Golden Child getting progressively less and less. The aim here for Magpie is now to rectify that, as you can see. Try and keep it alive as long as possible. Oh, that's a reconnecting, but we're okay. We're okay. We weren't warned of any disconnects. So, yeah. So far, so good, as we do see those buffs come in. Removing from the front row instead is really smart, because not only are you preventing that damage, you know you're preventing growth on the Golden Child as well. It's very nice here.
Makes sense. Okay, so Joe is willing to play all the way down here. Let's see.
Yeah, to an extent, he's more than happy to. It depends on if he finds value for this heat wave now or not. Because trading it into something like a 6 doesn't really make a lot of sense. As Winter Queen, now I would heat wave that.
Yeah. And, but...
It's not going to be sufficient is my only concern. The leader charge makes a lot of sense. As Joe is saying, show me 29 points. You have to play the Golden Boy now, I believe.
Is this a version of the other golden card bringing us the thin? Not right.
No.
Usually you could thin through that, but you can't.
Don't think got enough here. The movement without frost is not, because there's no frost on the other side of the board.
Wow. Oh.
And that is that. Joe has just done it. That quick, that easy.
Oh
Joe has just said, you know what? The end. That 2-0 push, our first qualification. Joe is going to World Masters, ladies and gents.
Magpie is not out.
No, Magpie's not done.
Just so you know,
Magpie's not done.
Magpie can still win in the losers bracket and then win the tiebreaker. It's definitely more
It's possible.
difficult, but it's possible.
But but from Magpie's side, both players in the tiebreaker that he could face, one of them he beat 3-0 yesterday, and the other one lost 3-0 to Joe yesterday. Wow.
That was... I wasn't expecting...
Joe's little push there. One of those, it's constantly the slow burn of, can I get just enough? And the read of whether you play that final card or not ended up being quite the decision.
Indeed.
The frost just ran out, and Death Wish on red coin managed to get it through. It's not as favoured, but Joe is our first.
Good job, Joe. Joe now can take a nap, because that's a long...